This chapter of A White Collar Wife is called A Very Merry Wedding. Most little girls dream about their wedding from just childhood, toddlers even. Putting pillowcases on their head and wearing, their mom's wedding dress all crumpled on the floor, cutting out magazine clippings, making a scrapbook, just dreaming of the day when they would be a princess and they would have their dream day with their dream man. And it would only rain if you wanted it to rain. If you didn't want it to rain, it wouldn't. The weather would be perfect or it wouldn't be perfect. Whatever your dream was, that would be how the day was. And I think for the most part, that's how weddings are. Even when they go a little sideways or get off plan. If you're like one of my girlfriends, she had like a 3-inch thick like binder for her wedding. I'm like, girl, it is not Normandy, but okay. If this makes you happy, I'm here for it. Now wear whatever you want me to wear. I was never that girl. I've always been more ready, fire, aim in all aspects of my life, including my wedding planning, because I wasn't really hung up on the day. I always cared more about the marriage that was coming after. Not to say that you can't have both, which I mean, I guess ideally that's the goal, right? But I was just so focused on the marriage part that the wedding was like, ha ha ha, get it out of the way. So when it came time for my most recent wedding, the time was kind of approaching, and we were dealing with some external factors that were driving the timeline as well. He had kids from a previous marriage, and it was really important to him that we not live together before we were married, which made it super fun when we went on vacation. And that's another podcast. You have to check into that one. The day I slept in the elf bed, but, is that chapter, but it wasn't really the day, it was more like the week, but anywho. And so I wasn't really one that really thought about how I wanted my wedding to be. And we were really trying to align with this timeline of when he had the visitation with his kids. I had a rental house down the road. Of course, that was costly in the area we were in, because we spent all of our time at the main house, at his house. And so it's just like, gosh, why am I pouring, $2,000, $3,000 a month into this other property just as a glorified storage unit, just to keep up appearances? You know that show on the BBC? Her last name is Bucket, but she says it's bouquet. If you've not watched it, I highly recommend watch it. Now this will make sense. But I really felt like that's what we were doing at that time. We were going bouquet instead of bucket, just for everything to just look more, Southern Baptist. So we should say Southern Baptist conservative. There we go. And so we decided that we were going to get married that December. There's the way the timing was working for tax purposes. It made sense. Like there were just kind of so many drivers. And the only weekend that was available with just the custody agreement with the kids was December 15th. And I thought, you know what? This is perfect. Everything will be decorated for Christmas. Check that off the list. Don't have to plan decorations, hunt around Facebook Marketplace or Hobby Lobby to find them. Don't have to pay for them. Don't have to put them out. Don't have to schlep them there in the clear plastic totes and have someone in my wedding party designated to get all the urns back, all the candles back, all the votives back. They're just there. And there was this place I really loved in Virginia in the mountains called the Homestead. I'd gone for summer camp as a child and then had gone back for weekends and other trips here and there. But every time I went, it just had this magical feeling. People talk about Disney and as soon as they set foot at Disney, they just, they're with the mouse. And it's just this magical place. Nothing can go wrong. It's always beautiful there. That's how I felt with the homestead. And it had these big southern porches with rocking chairs. And I should have looked up what year it was built before I started recording this. Maybe, I don't know, like 1790 or something, but just in that era, put that in your mind. And so I said, let's get married there because I didn't have time to scope it out because, life. But I knew, just the history of that place and the reputation it had, I knew they'd have gorgeous Christmas decorations. And my plan was to have a hijacked wedding. I didn't want to call because as soon as you say wedding or funeral to any venue place, they add a zero to your bill. Well, it's a wedding, that customary zero we got to add to the end. Oh, it's a funeral. Oh, so sorry for your loss. At that zero off. And so I didn't want to say anything. And I was like, we're just going to show up. We brought very few people with us. We each just had one attendant, which also kind of served as our witness for the event. And I was like, we're just going to show up and we're going to find a beautiful area that's kind of set up for Christmas. Maybe it's a dining room or their hallways were so large and grand. It could have very easily been a hallway or a corridor. For those of our friends in the UK listening. And that was my whole plan. That was it. Wedding planning. Find vacant area in hotel with cute decor and get married. One sentence. So we already had brought one of our friends that was attending was going to officiate. So we had that done. Check that off the list too. You talk about getting a twofer, right? And so we arrive, and my first mission was because we were only there for 2 nights, one night before and then the night of the wedding. And so, which really worked out good in the end, but I'll get there. And so as soon as we arrived, I'm like looking around, I'm like, okay, mission critical. Got to find this corridor, got to find this cubby, got to find this Christmas tree, these poinsettia clusterings, where it's going to be. So we found this area. And honestly, y'all, even looking back on it, it was great because it really felt remote. It was like one of those dining rooms that would have been a dining room if it had tables in it, but it was open. And so I was like, okay, is this where they wheel in the bleachers for children's like Christmas carols? Do they have a portable stage that goes up here when they make big announcements? Like, I wasn't really sure what the architect's design was for this room, but it didn't have no tables in it, which was perfect for us because then we could just stand up and walk and do our deal. And so we had decided this was the place. I had gone to David's bridal 2 weekends before, which was also kind of the rotation of when he had his kids. And it was funny. We walk in, his daughter and I picked out the first dress. She picked out a dress. We tried them on. We like high five, like, girl, let's get it. Like, there was none of this, And she's like, I think we're supposed to ring a bell or something. There was none of this trying on 50 dresses, nitpicking for either one of us. We walked right in, zeroed in on the dress we wanted, brought that bad boy home. I mean, even that was, easy peasy. The boys, I think, had a tougher time finding the right color tobacco brown shoes to match their suits. I think that was the harder thing of the whole deal. But we decided to do blue because I love blue, I'm in Carolina. And blue looks good on all skin tones. So I wanted to really kind of also complement. I didn't want to do red or green, obvi. I didn't want to have like pink or brown that would kind of offset that, oddly, knowing that that would be, even though I hadn't seen the backdrop of my wedding at that time and had no idea what the decor were, I kind of had an idea that we'd be in the red and green family. And so kind of royal blue, royal navy-ish blue. It was like an emerald. It was gorgeous by accident. And thank goodness Hobby Lobby did have rose petals in the exact same shade. So thank you, retail, for coordinating on the back end with David's Bridal to have all your stuff match. Anyway, so we get there, we find the space. It's perfect. We decide the next day we're going to, do our wedding. Everything gets, everyone gets dressed. Everything's, moving along well. I wrote my vows almost in the elevator on the way down. Like, I knew what I wanted to say. And I know that y'all are like, "Oh, you're a writer." I do better extempore anyway, but I kind of knew what I wanted to say. I just didn't quite have it all outlined. And then I thought, you know what? I want this to be perfect. I don't want this to look hashed, like winging it. We didn't have a photographer, just, I'm sorry, we didn't have, a videographer. So I knew I was under the pressure of that, but still I wanted it to be good. I wanted to accurately communicate my feelings that day. So I did decide ultimately to jot it down on note cards and in classy style. It was a strapless dress. I did have pockets, which were key. I didn't realize that when I picked the dress on, when I picked it out, because, I got the first one I got. And most of the time you don't hear about with wedding dresses and it has pockets. But mine had pockets. And so I did have my phone in one pocket because I was playing the music through a Bluetooth speaker that I walked down the aisle to. And I guess I could have put my vows in the other pocket. I must have had something in there, lipstick, a horn. I don't know. I must have had something. So I stick it like in my bra as we're going down. I'm like, okay, I'll just pull them out and hold them in my hand when I get down there, because I had my bouquet in the other one. And so that was kind of my idea, was to kind of hide the cards with the bouquet when they ultimately came out from my very classy storage compartment. We get downstairs and there's just this look of sheer panic on the 3.5 people that are attending our hijacked wedding, or as I call it, our pop-up wedding. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, I didn't have this bridezilla plan. I didn't have all this stuff. It could be raining, crash, boom, bang outside, or there could be a mariachi band in the dining room. Like, I didn't have any of this, on a sheet. So what could be wrong? I didn't have anything right. So what could be wrong was my thought. And come to find out, bless it, y'all, we weren't the only ones with this idea. We're not the only cheap people on the planet. Okay. There was a family of probably 40 people who come to find out, the grandparents had gotten married at the homestead on that same day, 3 days after Jesus rolled the stone away from the tomb. So then they had their kids and their grandkids, and so this was their family tradition. They would come to the homestead and do Christmas there and kind of have their family get together, and super cute. But they're in there taking photos, and they had actually hired a photographer. Okay. So girl got to yield to somebody who got that level of planning, because I didn't even have, a paid photographer. So we were just kind of just in the hallway out front, just chit-chatting, just sitting there holding my bouquet, got my phone in my pocket to play music, making sure that the sweat doesn't make the note cards bleed with my vows, all over my skin. And we're just kind of chit chatting, hanging out. And we then realized, okay, they don't know we're out here because they were doing 49. We were trying to be patient because, again, we didn't reserve this space. We were hijacking it. So were they. Like, there wasn't like the conference rooms at work where you can like kind of fill out on the board. No, there wasn't that. It was every man for themselves. Okay. And clearly, this was the cutest spot in the hotel because they thought so too. So thank you. Without any recon work. And so finally, I think someone went in and was like, "Hey, y'all, can you pause? Like, we're going to do the quickest, fastest wedding, like 7 minutes." When you're in middle school and you go to your co-ed parties, do you play 7 minutes in heaven? That's what it was. It was like, let's get this thing done because we're on a schedule. Okay. And so they're like, hey, we'll take a pause because we've got on our shot list 804 more shots. So we'll take a pause. We'll go get a snack, have a cocktail. Y'all have your 7 minute wedding and we'll come back. So we run in. Everyone's like, green team, go. This is not a drill. Everyone kind of takes their places. And, I say everyone, all three and a half over there. I hit play on my phone. It's a little staticky because I'm a little too far away from the Bluetooth speaker. And so I kind of start making my way, down the aisle and I get there and it was gorgeous. If I had spent days, weeks, months, thousands of dollars planning just everything that was there, there's no way it would have been as beautiful as it was. So we do our 7 minute wedding, and I like the price of it. And so we do our 7 minute wedding and we leave. We let the family, hey, y'all can go back in, continue your 804 photos. Congratulations on your, 809th wedding anniversary. And so we go out and we were taking more photos. The bridal photos out in the main hallway there, the corridor where the check-in desk is. Other trees, other Christmas decor. It was absolutely gorgeous. And the only video I have, because this was at a time, y'all, when even those that were there, it wasn't your first reaction to take your phone out and video. It just wasn't the thing then, okay? Not that I would have cared, but this wasn't the thing. But thankfully, someone, when I was throwing my bouquet, got their phone out and took a video. And so I have that. And of course, our daughter caught that because, she was one of the 2.5 people in attendance, caught it. So I love having that photo. And it is so funny because her face, she catches it and she's like, yeah, I did good. I caught it. And then she kind of looks around like, what do I do? Like, do I put it in a vase? Do I throw it on the ground and jump over it? Like, what do I do that I've caught this, bouquet? It was so cute. And then we just kind of got to hang out the rest of the day and leave the next day through like the beautiful mountains. So that is the very short version of my pop-up very merry wedding.